I might need some more heat.
Yeah, I feel you. I got my, you could probably see in the background, I got my new space heater, because I ain't about heating the whole ass apartment for one person.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. I'm trying to save the planet out here. Me and Captain Planet's like this.
Trying to save the world.
Earth. Fire.
Heart.
Pew.
Captain Planet. He's a
Uh-oh.
hero.
We're going to get copyright striked.
Robert
Better stop that.
I changed it at the last second.
Ah, okay. All right.
Oh. That's not
All right, hold up.
Hold on. Let's see.
There
we go. That's better.
I'm pulling up the Twitch to make sure stuff is working.
Yeah, I think we're good. See some folks online.
Hey, wubba lubba dub dub.
Wubba lubba dub dub. The nerds are back in town. Thank you.
Nerds are back in town. Da, ba, da, da. For some reason, that reminds me of the what's that Martin Lawrence slash what's that dude? Not that funny. He was kind of old. Adam Sandler movie Wild Hogs.
Oh gosh.
Like, I feel like that's like the last movie I heard the boys are back in town in, and my brain's just like, it's like forever associated with that movie.
Isn't? Yeah, that would be the movie. It should. Yeah, that seems about right.
Oh man.
Well, let's see.
All right. Oh yeah, that was what I wanted to see this weekend. I forgot all about that.
What?
Ghostbusters makes me feel good. Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Yeah. You had one job to do.
Yeah, I forgot. I was like, something comes out this weekend, but what? And I'm like, it's probably not that important since I can't remember. But yeah, I'll get around to it. But yeah, so some quick hits here at Nerd. Oh wait, we got to do the intro. My bad.
I do appreciate the enthusiasm, though. The enthusiasm is warranted and fantastic. Let me just... Procedure. This week on State of the Nerd Union, we'll explain why Apple's new repair kits may leave much to be desired. Plus, Halo Infinite gets a multiplayer experience point update, but did it make a difference? And lastly, Netflix's recent Cowboy Bebop and Arcana League of Legends did pretty well over the weekend, but we're going to discuss, are they any good? So, all of that and more starting right now. And then, pause for the music, Hello everyone, this is Commandership, and this is State of the Nerd Union. On this Monday, November 22nd, I'm joined by my co-host, Imminent Doom X. How you doing?
Hey, how's it going, yo? Doing pretty good.
Yeah. So Terrence said, this is the music. Yeah, I mean, we have a song. It's just I should be able to play it next time. We have the music. I know how to play it now, so we should be able to play it next time.
Oh, okay. I thought you were like creating space for the song to go, like in like the YouTube video or something.
Oh yeah, I am creating the space. Sorry, I am creating the space for later. But yeah, we legit will be able to play it on air next time. So
gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah. You said quick hits.
Cool. Quick hits. Here we go. Pop. So Ghostbusters Afterlife dominates the weekend, more or less uncontested, because I don't know what else came out this weekend. And The Eternals reaches 300 million worldwide. The third, fourth, or fifth official entry of the Ghostbusters franchise, depending on who you ask, collected 44 million, breaking even what Sony picture projected for the film. Eternals hit $300 million worldwide, falling short of global numbers in comparison to F9 and 007, No Time to Die, but coming in strong compared to other Marvel flicks like Black Widow and Shang-Chi. King Richard, the Will Smith-led Williams sisters produced biopic about their dad, also releases this weekend, but was largely overshadowed by Ghostbusters and the simultaneous release on HBO Max. Yeah, like I didn't even know that had come out. So
yeah, I think that doing that, that was one movie that probably would have benefited from folks being able to get to go see it. Not necessarily that it visually needed to, but going up against Ghostbusters, it's like at least get your actual theater money. Now, probably a lot of people watch it on HBO Max. That's possible. I just haven't heard the buzz on it compared to Bebop and Ghostbusters this weekend. Seems like that's if anybody's watching anything, it's probably those two. But Terrence says House of Gucci dropped its past. No, Gucci and Encanto come out tomorrow. So like kind of late screenings will be tomorrow night. I guess they're trying to get those out early before the Thanksgiving holiday to kind of gain some traction there. Because some people might watch movies on Black Friday. I think most people will be shopping. So Friday kind of going to be hit or miss a little bit.
Maybe. I've never been. I don't think I've ever gone shopping on a Black Friday. Because I'm like, I barely hate like going to like Walmart and dealing with regular crowds during the week. I'm like, this crowd's too big. Imagine waiting in line. Like my whole like ometer for trying to figure out which line do I stand in stops working when the line has 10 people in it. So
yeah. Terrence says a lot of people I know go to Thanksgiving Day or go to the movie on Thanksgiving Day. Yes, me and Christmas, Thanksgiving and Christmas. Yeah, I'd do that for sure. For sure.
Nah, I don't go on Thanksgiving because it's like. The less I can be on the road, because my mom has the same concern, because she was like, nah, I ain't driving around. The less I can be on the road, because people drinking and doing other kind of stuff, and it's like, nah, I'm going to just chill. We gonna watch Terminator 2 like we do every year. It's fine. And because it's always on TV. It's always on TV on Thanksgiving. And, you just flipping around, you throw something on, like, oh, Terminator 2? Yeah, I watch Terminator 2.
I guess it is a family movie.
Absolutely, man. It's about running from the future. It's existential. We can all talk, communicate on that. There you go.
Next up, for our D&D fans, it's this
D&D, you say?
themed restaurant created by owners Daniel Caldwell and Michael Paler is set to open in 2024 in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, in the town that Gary Gygax developed D&D and where the original company was based. Titled Griffin and Gargoyle, the 350-seat venue would offer short sessions played over a meal, with hired actors helping flesh out the experience. Conversely, if you don't want to participate in the sessions, you can just eat there and get to enjoy the games and stuff that would be happening in the venue. But set to open in 2024, so it's going to be a little bit before that comes out. But that rendering looks pretty cool.
It does. I'd be down, like, depending on the setting. Like having mentally, I'm comparing it to like a medieval times experience, which like is always good everywhere I've been. Even in I wouldn't say even in Vegas, but also in Vegas. I went to medieval times in Vegas, and I was surprised to say that the show is no better in Vegas, which is curious. But I'm comparing it. Yeah, it's consistent. So mentally, I'm kind of comparing it to that kind of experience, and I'm like, is this like you play a one-shot, like, while you're eating? Because, like, I want to do either one of those things. I either want to eat or I want to play a one-shot, but I don't want to eat and play a one-shot with strangers at the same time. So I'm curious as to, like, what this is going to be like.
Yeah, it's a good point. Well, they've got 2 years to figure it out.
Yeah.
We'll keep tabs on that. Keep some tabs.
It'll get like a 1-star rating. It's like, nah, the DMs are all super railroady. Don't eat here.
Next up, Disney Plus is doing some weird nonsense. If you have the Hulu Live TV plan, because they're going to do a $5 price hike and make you take on Disney Plus and ESPN Plus, whether you want it or not.
Okay.
And it's regardless if you have the ad supported or non-ad version. So
whack.
Yeah, pretty whack.
Yeah. Let's see. Here we go. We're gonna slide to the left into our For the Cinephiles segment. Here we go. So Harry Potter reunion special or Harry Potter reunion special set to air on HBO Max on New Year's Day. Time flies. It's been 10 years since the last Harry Potter movie came out. 20 years since the first movie came out. Sorcerer's Stone debuted in theaters back in December 2001. Wow. HBO / Warner Brothers is currently developing a special, Return to Hogwarts, to commemorate the original cast and crew, bringing back Daniel Radcliffe, Rupert Grint, Emma Watson, Sorcerer's Stone director Chris Columbus, and many of the cast members across the 8-film run. J.K. Rowling is currently not set to participate, given the hot water she's been in regarding her transphobic comments, and not including her is probably a really, 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 really good idea. Also, she's never really been a part of like the cinematic experience, like from a visual point. So, like, she don't even need to be there. Ain't nobody gonna care if she's there. Like, she would just be this lady who's like never really been a part of the cinematic experience, who just shows up for the special and be like, "Hi, I'm here to ruin everything."
I'm writing a script for 2001 movies just to talk about them, and I'm just now getting into December. And seeing that, knowing that fact, that's been 20 years I don't like thinking about it. Yeah, it's rough.
It does remind me. I remember when I was a kid, around like the time the second or third book came out. I went to a Harry Potter camp, and me and this other kid, I think his name was Jose, decimated at Quidditch. Before Quidditch became like an actual sport like it is now, the camp leader tried so hard to cheat so her daughter's team would win those Quidditch games. We could not be stopped.
Gosh. Have I ever played? I think I did it once in college. I think there was a college group to try to do Quidditch, and then it fizzled after one semester.
Yeah, I've never played modern Quidditch. This was basically just play basketball, but with a broom. But yeah, it's functionally the same.
Mitch Mars, thank you for the follow. We appreciate that. For folks that are listening along at home, whatever channel you might be listening to us on YouTube, watching us on YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook, definitely go ahead and hit that like button. We appreciate that a lot. All right, we got one more for the. Is there one more for the Cinephiles? It's a pretty short one. Oh yeah, I got it.
Oh yep, go for it.
So, you've heard me and Tom probably talk about streaming numbers across platforms. Streamers really do not give us information. They are very tight-lipped about that information. So Netflix has launched a new site, the top 10 site, which based on language, based on your location, will tell you what the top Netflix shows or movies are in your area. You can also compare globally from your local area. So there's not so many surprises on that. Like Red Notice, for example, is already like still the top one right now. But this is like a little more information than we normally get, and it's more details than, say, the top 10 that you see on your Netflix. So you get a little bit extra information. They even let you download CSV tables, which I thought, wow, that's crazy. So we'd be curious to see if they give more information out than what we have right now. But this is for someone that reports on this regularly and we don't get anything, this is at least a step in the right direction. Let's see. Mitch Mars. I also went to a Harry Potter camp when I was younger. My brother and I saw through the novelty pretty quick. We were some of the oldest kids there. Yeah, I was gonna say
it's pretty much how it goes. I think at the time, the most exciting thing about it for me was that my best friend Brian was also going, and because we lived far away from each other, we didn't get to hang out that often. So it was like, all right, cool. Like we get to do our thing. Only thing I remember from the thing was I was in Hufflepuff. We made a wand, and Hufflepuff absolutely dunked on everybody in every Quidditch match every single time, to the point where there was nothing they could do about it.
They're like, this is just devastation. Like,
yep.
Darn right.
It's called the police. There's been a massacre.
A massacre. So that's all we got for the Cinephiles. If you want more movie and TV news, check out the Commander Ship Show, where myself and Tom DeGroat will discuss everything that happened this week for you. That's tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Central, every Tuesday night, on wherever you like to stream our videos. All right. Y'all know what's coming up next.
Game time.
That's right. So, Halo fans like myself, I talked about the Oliver Twist. Please, sir, may I have some more? When it comes to XP, and it's gotten better. I did not get to play because I was sick. I did not get to play the actual day the beta dropped, and I thought I had at least played one, and I think I have played at least one session with the old XP system, or at least how they were calculating it. Mm-hmm. Having played this weekend, it's better. You are knocking some of the actual like daily challenges are a little shorter. Some of them aren't necessarily 10.
Play 40 games. Play 40 death matches.
Yeah. Now I think, and that's a good point. I think we talked about it last week. Some of the biggest things, the quickest things, is that you need to give us more playlist options if you're going to say it has to be capture the flag that you get this thing on. But then that's still randomly inside that larger playlist. Like it just doesn't. You'll be there forever. So some of it's not even necessarily that the challenge is too hard. The framework for you to be able to complete it is just not there.
Yeah, it's like you have to play. Not only do you need to do the challenge, but you have to play like the right sequence of games, and that's kind of a hassle.
Yeah, but these are if this is it though, and again there's some other little nitpicky things. Some people have been like but I'm like generally the response has been very good. I have enjoyed it. It feels a lot like Halo 4, and I'm gonna give my full. I'm gonna hopefully stream Wednesday. Yeah, Halo. I feel like Halo 4 was like the best mix of equipment, feeling like the older Halo games, but being in a more modern Halo setting. Some Halo fans might disagree with me on that. I can understand why people didn't like Halo 5 because just how fast it moved. Like when you add the booster the entire time, like you can sprint and the boost. Those two
gotta go fast.
Yeah, so you have some older Halo players that didn't play 4 and didn't play 5, and they try to come back in 5, and they're like, "What is? What is this?"
It's a very different game. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. So hopefully I'll play some more Wednesday night, stream that, and talk about it. But I'm liking what it is so far. They got some adjustments to make, but I think these are easy adjustments to make. Oh, Lindy Fitness calling me out.
I was about to say, yep. Lindy Fitness said, "Did you remember to switch weapons instead of reload?"
That's actually not the biggest problem for me right now. Because I got so proficient at the thruster on Halo 5, my gameplay has changed to match it. So sometimes I'm in a situation and I'm like, oh, I'm going to boost. Yeah, I'm going to thrust out of it. Oh.
Scooby-Doo sound effects. Let's get out of here, Scoob!
And there's no way for me to do it. Well, obviously, yeah, if I had picked up that on the map, but it's no longer a default. So I'm like, yeah, that's the muscle memory I'm currently fighting against. It's hilarious. Like, someone can go back and look at my videos and be like, oh, you died. Nice. How?
Oops. Speaking of dying in games, Battlefield 2043 is currently one of the worst reviewed Steam games ever. In an ultimate wombo combo, once I say the first name, it'll all make sense. EA and DICE, massive multiplayer franchise, hasn't lived up to expectations, and fans are letting their feelings be known on Steam's rating system, pushing the game down into the top 10 or bottom 10 worst rated games on the platform, which might take up the top or bottomest spot if the current trend doesn't stop. I had looked into the reception of Battlefield 2042 a little bit, and it's a lot of like small. They can't necessarily be described as small because given the rating of being the worst game rated on Steam, but it's a lot of issues with the gameplay that for longtime fans who have played tons of Battlefield, of which I have not, just to throw that out there, for them, like the changes to it make it near unplayable. One such that was demonstrated was where a player had pointed out, like with it, like the like misfire distance on a sniper rifle is so great that at extreme distances you can have your shot perfectly lined up, and when you pull the trigger, it just scoots off to the side and then puts the bullet over there, and like he lines up the shot like 4 or 5 times with the sniper rifle, and you just can't hit the person. So it's not, just simply graphical issues or bugs, and those things might be around, but it's like the changes, like stuff like that. There's no leaderboard, so there's no like kill death ratio. It doesn't show you that kind of stuff. Like you can just play matches. I'm pretty sure. There was just like a bunch of stuff that they had taken out of it, and as well as those other issues. I don't know why you would even bother to release that.
We need to have a topic show where we just get into like how is this still happening? But
we got more stories that are exactly this one, but just with a different game and a different company coming up. So we're gonna dig into it.
So Lindy Fitness says worse than Avengers, but Avengers is playable though.
So, I mean, it's playable. The experience is bad, but it's playable.
Some of the Battlefield matches are unplayable. And then Mitch Mars says 20 weapons is a lot for Titanfall 2, where they all play extremely differently. They have no excuse.
Yeah, definitely.
Also, shout out to Titanfall. I need another Titanfall. Especially if y'all have not played the campaign for Titanfall 2. Go do that. That is, it's like after so much criticism came from Titanfall 1, we're like, where's the campaign? This is just bots. And then Titanfall 2 is like, dang, y'all put some work
kicking
in
it
here.
up a notch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not super long, but it's nice little romp.
Nice. Lindy Fitness said Battlefield sounds like they just left a lot of stuff out and released it anyways. Pretty much. I'm remembering more stuff about when I looked into it. It's like stuff where there are weapon modifications that don't do what they're supposed to do, and people have experimented where it's like, oh, this gun is supposed to reduce the recoil on whatever, and they show you like it shoots up, and for a whole clip it goes up to here, and then they take it off and shoot the gun normally, and it only goes up to here, and you're like, wait a minute, this gun doesn't reduce the recoil, it makes it worse. And it's like other mods like that, like there are a whole bunch of other, like the unlock path for certain mods doesn't make any sense. It starts to get into the nitty gritty about the game that I don't necessarily understand because I'm a non-player of it. But it sounds like they really gunked it up with this one. There's a reason that they're Battlefield is one of like Steam's most played series, like on the reggy-deggy, so messing up a Battlefield game, there's a lot of fans that you're gonna upset with that.
For sure.
You want to take the next one, Kenny?
Oh yeah. Also, I heard I gotta substantiate this. I heard some wild stuff about Marty ODonnell, possibly being a Nazi. That word that we hope don't want to get banned on the social media. So I'll say it soft,
with heavy inflection.
Heavy inflection. But I saw that if it had been one person, that'd be one thing. But I saw it in multiple posts. So I'm like, I'm gonna dive down that, figure that out, because I've liked him as a composer for the Halo series and obviously Destiny. But that sucks. It's like, come on, man. But sorry. Long story short. Marty ODonnell has had to publish a 45-second video asking fans to either destroy or no longer distribute the Music of Spheres, which is additional content from Destiny. So, if you have no idea what we're talking about, long story short, O'Donnell had created music for the original Destiny that came out, and in 2013, there was a specific two pieces of music, another Destiny track or group of songs, and then the music of Spheres, and that was going to be used for the E3 trailer for Destiny. Activision didn't end up using it. O'Donnell was obviously upset because he obviously when you pour your work in, it doesn't get used. You know that's not great. But on top of that, they also weren't going to release it, at least at the time. So they weren't planning on releasing it. So O'Donnell's like, so on top of it, you didn't use it for a trailer, and now I've poured in all this work, and you're not going to release it. Imagine Hans Zimmer recently with the 2 extra Dune albums that came out. He made one just for the sketchbook. He got really excited and inspired. He made one just for the sketchbook, and then he's got a second one. I think I can't remember what that one was for specifically. It might have just been unused movie tracks. I can't remember what that one was for, but basically imagine those two, because Dune fans really love those coming out. Imagine them not releasing that. You'd be a little upset. Mm-hmm. So Donald basically goes full pirate radio and just starts dropping the tracks on his own. Fans naturally love it and eat it up, and naturally the lawsuits came out saying like, hey, you gotta cut that out. So.
Yeah, he definitely was upset. He's spaghetti.
Yeah,
but understandably,
it's got a legit complaint. It's legit.
Yeah,
got it. All right. Next up.
Yeah. You want to take this one?
Yeah, I'll take this one.
Okay.
League of Legends fans have got a lot to be excited about, and the recent series Arcana came out over the weekend, debuted to large numbers. It's in the top 10 in the U.S. streaming for Netflix, and a lot of people, it's just a lot of people have responded favorably to it. It's already been renewed for season 2. So, and I'll read a statement from the creators. Christian Linke and Alex Yee said in a statement that we're beyond happy about the positive response to Arcane's first season, and are working hard with the creative wizards at Riot and Fortune to deliver our second installment. So we have no idea what the second installment is necessarily going to talk about, what it's going to cover. But we do know voice actors Haley Steinfeld, who voices V, Ella Purnell, Jinx, and Katie Young, Caitlin Karaman are all slated to return. So yeah, no story beads yet, but it is slated to return. See, Mitch Mars, all I know about Arcane is that a channel in a Discord I'm in has been swallowed by regular discussion of it. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yep. Yeah, anybody I know who knows about it, like, has brought it up unprovoked multiple times, and then, like, everybody who doesn't know about it just doesn't know about it.
Can we talk about Arcane? Like, hey.
Like, yo, do you play League? It's like, I'll make some random reference to, like, going jungle, and, like, do you play League? Did you know about this show? And I'm like, nope. I used to play League a long time ago. I was a different person. I'm not into that anymore. Nah. Oh man. Yeah. Oh man. This one, I'm hoping that it's accurate. G4 is back.
Yeah.
Are you a late 20-something, 30-something? Remember Attack of the Show? XPlay? What about names like Adam Sessler and Morgan Webb? The long dead and defunct gaming network that lost its way in more ways than one is returning, bringing back the 24-hour gaming news channel with veterans Adam Sessler, Kevin Pereira back in their original shows. While they don't want to provide advertising for a competitor, that feels weird to say. I've missed out on that crew and all the wacky stuff that they came out with. So good luck, G4 crew. Yeah, man, like, definitely love G4. I used to love watching, like, Attack of the Show, Starcade, what's it called? XPlay, and that was
16-bit. What was the 16-bit show?
Code Monkeys.
Oh,
yeah. Man. So I'm currently rewatching Code Monkeys, and Code Monkeys is a show that I don't recommend anybody watch unless you've already seen it before.
It didn't age well, did it?
It didn't age well when it came out. I watched it when I was 12, and the target audience is for when you are male and 12, and It's literally what's the subreddit? I'm 12 years old and this is funny. The TV show. Like, some of those jokes are real, are actually pretty solid, but like the target audience is 12 years old, 12 years old in 2005 or however old I was when I was 12 years or whatever year it was. You don't rewatch it because you're gonna be mad. If you've already seen it before, then you know what the show is, and you can rewatch it at your leisure. But it's like those 4 shows were basically the only TV on G4, and they just supplemented every other viewing time slot with just episodes of Cops.
Yeah, that was.
It was like G4, like the gaming network for the TV network for gamers. Yeah, and it's like we got XPlay, Attack of the Show, Starcade, that show that I just said, and then just endless reruns of Cops, and then they canceled Starcade and just filled it in with Cops, and then they canceled Attack of the Show, and they just filled that in with Cops, and eventually they were just showing Cops all the time.
Just showing Cops the entire time. But you know what's weird? So Sci-Fi had the same issue. And
Sci-Fi did have the same issue.
And it wasn't Cops, it was wrestling. They showed wrestling. And I'm not knocking wrestling. I'm a big wrestling fan. So this is not a knock on that. It's just more of like a, why is that here?
Yeah.
What?
But then I was gonna say, but then they landed on their. They landed. This would be if I knew a good wrestling joke, I would make a reference to some wrestling move and then landing on your feet. I don't know, but then they landed on their feet by just yo, we're gonna make every stupid sci-fi movie suggestion that anybody pitches us, and it's what if
that time frame too? I forgot about that.
Yep. There was basically people were yo, what if there was a mega crocodile and it was eating people? And it's oh, do you mean mega crocodile? And it was basically the film. It was yo, what if there was an anaconda, but the anaconda was really, really big and it's eating people? It's you mean super anaconda? It's yo, what if mega crocodile and super anaconda fought each other? It was you mean mega crocodile versus super anaconda? And it was it was basically they would take maybe one B-list actor and just get a whole bunch of D-list other actors who you kind of remember standing in the background of other films and just put them in the bayou and be yo, act.
Figure it out.
Here's a script I wrote while I was in the bathroom. Make it happen.
On a bunch of diner napkins.
Jeez.
Mitch Mars. Before there was gaming YouTube, there were G4 clips on Comcast On Demand. I remember that.
Oh, yeah. Yep. I remember that. Oh, man.
This is a nostalgia trip.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
Yeah, Bloody Fitness said, why was G4 showing Cops so much? I have to imagine it's because, the rights to the show were just, ultra cheap, and they were we need to put on something. And this is the cheapest thing I can get my hands on that people will at least kind of want to watch.
Okay, so I always wanted G4 and Sci-Fi to merge.
That would have been fresh.
Because I felt like you could be showing sci-fi shows in between the news. Whenever you're whenever Attack a Show and other gaming stuff is on, just that's probably gonna be your news segment and stuff. And I never understood why these had never come to. It might have been more of a licensing issue about how they got bought. When when it was originally Tech TV and that got bought.
Yeah, it would have really been the perfect peanut butter chocolate fusion of TV networks that unfortunately never happened. But I think you're right on the money. That would have been good. But speaking of transitional segues and other people who were right on the money, Phil Spencer weighs in on NFTs and gaming and the current exploitative issues happening right now. So this is a story coming out of is this Axios? Is that how you say that? ASOS? Axios. Let's go with that. Spencer said, and quote, what I'd say today on NFTs all up is that I think that there's a lot of speculation and experimentation that's happening, and that some of the creative that I see today feels more exploitative than about entertainment, which I totally agree with. I won't get into my nitty gritty about NFTs, but Walt Spencer wasn't against the use of blockchain infrastructure in games. He said that he was specifically worried about the NFT games that aren't actually providing real value or entertainment to consumers, but they're only there to make a quick buck.
Yeah, that's a very reasonable, solid statement. So, yeah, I think NFTs could be really cool. I've seen some creative and great ways for NFTs to be used, but then there's some sus.
I haven't. I've only seen sus. I have seen some very great memes about NFTs, though. Oh, man.
He's been on a roll.
Yeah, he's on it.
Because last week we got to talk about the backwards compatibility, and he's like, "Look, if we're not gonna make this a standard in industry, we might need to support more emulation and ROMs." I'm sure the whole emu and ROM community was like, "What?"
Yep. He's right though. I mean, he's on the money. Like it's like you can't just be like, "Yo, just never play games that are old." It's like, come on.
Yeah.
I'm still playing Legend of Dragoon right now. I still go back and I play King of Dragons like every once in a while because it's a great game and the soundtrack slaps.
Mm-hmm. You want to take the next one? A follow-up from the GTA madness?
Yeah, so folks who may have missed it last week, GTA released the Definitive Edition, which is more of a definitive collection of Grand Theft Auto 3, San Andreas, and Vice City. A digital remastering of all three of Grand Theft Auto's possibly greatest games ever made in their series. Digitally remastered and beautiful and all that other razzmatazz, except for one big problem in that it's hot garbage. There's the long and short of it is the actual version that got released is an AI upscaled version of the phone port of those games, re-released on platforms. There's not only does it reintroduce all the old bugs that were already around in the old versions of the release, back on the PS2, but due to it being an upscaled version, there's also a bunch of new problems with the game. As of the release, they have made about a dozen and some change updates to each version, fixing graphical bugs, but fundamentally, this is supposed to be a digital remastering of these games, and it isn't. So there's not a lot of the Rockstar Games has basically come out and apologized, and they said, quote, the updated versions of these classic games did not launch in a state that meets our own standards of quality or the standards that our fans have come to expect. Basically saying, oopsie doopsies, I'm sorry, and acknowledging that only that it came out with more problems than we expected, which basically says, oops, if we had bothered to play this for 5 minutes, we would have realized, this is a piece of garbage, but we didn't, and we just offloaded it to another company that just does mobile ports and thought it would be cool. As a result, they have expressed plans to re-add the original versions back to the Rockstar Games store, not mentioning the Steam store, because they went around and kicked all of the copies, the digital copies, off of the store so that you couldn't buy them in their original format, as well as for the past several months have been going around to threaten modders with cease and desist orders so that they can't so that people don't have access to the mods that not only fix the old versions of the games but greatly enhance them so that you don't have competition for the Definitive Edition, which I'm sure Rockstar Games was probably like, nah, it'll be fine. Why would we need to play it? And then it comes oh my god! So naturally, their apology is getting mixed results from the community, where pretty much nobody thinks it's a legitimate apology, because if they had played it for 10 minutes, they would have looked at it and been like, what the hell is this? But some people are saying that they're simply happy that Rockstar is communicating with fans at all, because prior to this release they didn't send out advance copies for it to be reviewed. They didn't show any gameplay demos. They didn't do anything to denote, like, hey, here's what the definitive version is going to look like. They kept it under lock and key, probably because they already knew that it was hot garbage, but they were just like, just release it anyway, and we'll just take whatever money we can get, because releasing digital copies of things is easy, and it's free, functionally.
I didn't know that piece.
Mm-hmm.
That last nugget.
Yep, they didn't want anybody to play this game. I think there was one company, one like news review site that got a like a first look at it, but like they didn't offer really any meaningful information, or like have any gameplay videos, or like, you know, really add anything to the pool. They were just like, oh, it looks good, it'll be fun, whatevs. Oh, man. But yeah.
Mitch Mars agrees with you, saying, you know what else is easy? Nuking the old version so they're the only ones available.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's effectively what they're doing. If nobody can get their hands on the good one, and the good moddable one, then, you know, you gotta play the hot garbage version that's a phone port of a PS2 game. Port it from PS2 to phones, and then port it from phones up to PC and beyond.
You know, our mutual friend Jalen keeps picking on me for buying physical games.
This is why. This is why.
Gosh, every time.
Every game that I really want to make sure that I can play, I buy a physical copy of. Ever since Scott Pilgrim, Xbox 360. It was a game that came out and slapped extra hard, and if you didn't have that bad boy saved on your hard drive when they took it off the store, you can't play it anymore. And it was gone forever. And we got lucky in that it came back on the Switch. Super. But it's still on my Xbox.
Alright. That's all for the game time. It's time to check the tech. So, Google's got a new feature, and it's actually not really new. You'll notice whenever if you search for a topic, and they may drop like an extra front page on the search results. So like I say, if the election's happening, you try to look for election results, you kind of get a customized page that's temporary for that particular year that you're looking at, so on and so forth. So you've seen kind of different...
Photo for ants?
All right, so you know what? All right,
there we go.
There we go. So this particular thing is like a census mapper, so you can kind of see what the census results have been for the last couple years on your particular area and drill down that way. Let's see. But the feature is also being used for local news. So if you look for a particular topic, and you can find and drill down to get results in your local area much easier, and not just like potentially showing up in the feed of news if you like use the Google News function, but overall in the search function you can get more information to kind of drill down. If you want to find specific high school sports scores in your local city, you could do that as well. You could drill down that way in a way that you hadn't really been able to do on Google before. So, yeah.
Lindy Fitness said, sounds like a tool that can aid in Order 66.
Execute Order 66.
Yeah, for real.
Something dark side.
Oh, man. Oh, this one, you want to move on to the next one, or do you have more to add? So this one was really interesting, and I thought my brain thought of the coolest implementation of this, and it's not, but it's still pretty neat. So Snapchat's new camera function can scan your food and give you recommended recipes. Why does that feature belong in Snapchat? I have no goddamn idea, but it is pretty cool. So you want to know a neat recipe just from looking at a piece of food? Snapchat's latest camera scan is cool. It's called Food Scan. Can pair recommendations for recipes based on an item that your phone is looking at. The tool is paired with partner allrecipes.com, and will also bring up a Wikipedia entry in the search results. When I first read this article, I thought that you would point your camera at like a prepared meal, and it would reverse engineer with the photo and tell you how to make it. And I was like, yo, this is the Jetson stuff that I've been looking for. We are in the future. But I'm like, oh wait, no, this just does like a database like scan of recipes based off of like barcode information or like object detection or whatever. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Okay, so that would definitely work on some, like, so you see in that bag there, the Apple, something to be easily identifiable for the camera.
Yeah.
But, like, when you get to a dish, it'd be like...
It would be, oh yeah, that's why I was like, this is crazy. Like, I thought it was like I would put like, you know, like steak and lobster or something in front of me, and it's like, yo, here's how you reverse engineer this meal. Like, that would have been wild.
That would have been pretty cool.
But it's not that. It's just a barcode reader and a database. It's fine.
I mean, it could still identify some things, not barcode related.
Yeah. That's not as cool, though. It's the first step. We'll get there.
All right. Next up. Yep, here you go again. Ants. Ants! So, if you liked using the app Threader, it would... let's say if someone put together like a fantastic thread on Twitter talking through a variety of things. But sometimes, honestly, and I like being on Twitter sometimes, but trying to read that thread can be unwieldy. Threader would allow you to kind of condense that into a readable article. But Twitter has since bought the app and is going to add it as part of Twitter's Blue service, effectively making you have to pay for this service separately as like another... There's a tier version for Twitter. So, yeah.
This is... So, when Twitter... I'm going to rant for just a brief moment, and I promise it's going to be brief. When Twitter first came out...
I got an Apple rant coming up here soon.
Alright, cool. When Twitter first came out, I was like, this is just Facebook statuses with a character limit. And the fact that people are like, oh, yo, here's 1 of 20 as I start going off on this story on Twitter because there's a character limit, I just can't write that much. I'm just like... Wouldn't it just be better served to just increase the character limit or just remove it altogether so you could just write what you want on Twitter in one text block and you don't need to have a secondary application to go through and like basically put all of your tweets onto a scroll that can be unrolled at will for you to consume at a later date? It's just a bonkers use case of like, why don't you just let people write as much as they want to and just admit that your whole entire idea for a website was just a subcategory of an already existing popular website.
But it forced innovation.
Did it though?
Nah, I really did. You really did.
Ran over, and I'll get off my high horse.
It's fine.
And back down onto my low horse.
So to be clear, I just pulled a random concept photo. There is no actual concrete plans for what the Apple Car would look like. But Bloomberg reported recently that Apple's are trying to ramp up their plans for a self-driving electric car.
Lindy Fitness said, "What in the Tron is that?"
So move over, Tesla. The computing giant wants to take a big swing at producing an electric self-driving car, and no word if the charger will cost extra or be included in the box. So they'll be sharpening their focus of a long-developing electric car. And again, they're shifting their focus more to this for the fully self-driving car, not just a conventional vehicle with semi-autonomous features. New project leader Kevin Lynch wants the very first model to drive itself based on what the insiders reported. The company is, again, that's why we're seeing 2025, because the company is reportedly speeding up its plans to match that. And it had originally been on a 5 to 7 year timeline, is now aiming for a more of a 4-year timeline.
I'm down for more people throwing their hat into the automated vehicle ring. I am curious as to... It would be really neat and really smart if Apple could create their vehicle in a way that you could already use a Tesla recharging station to recharge your Apple car. Because standardizing ports... Apple already learned that nobody wants to carry around these extra dongles to attach to other stuff. Standardizing ports for recharging cars.
Yes.
It's already difficult to...
Yeah, we don't need a third.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's already difficult. So if we can standardize it and you can go to the same place to get fuel for your electric car, just like you can go to any gas station. That will make the approach and adaptation of electric cars way more successful than trying to have specific chargers everywhere.
Yeah. See, Mitch Mara says, someone's got to act as competition for Tesla so they don't have a monopoly. I would agree with that. Although I think, I wouldn't necessarily use the word monopoly, but they do have, like, it's between, surprisingly, and people, and I say this, people get shocked, but it's actually between the Tesla Model 3 and the Nissan Leaf. Those two have been some of the highest sellers of electric vehicles. But yeah, I do agree. Like, we need more, and even if it's not necessarily to check Tesla, more big names. But like, if Apple gets into it, and a lot of companies have announced their plans, they're going to be switching over more and more of their cars to electric. But like, yeah, the more people that get involved, the faster this changeover might be able to happen. You know,
I agree. Good point.
Let's see, what is next?
Oh, here we go. Instagram. Yeah, I know, right? Whenever I switch back to my notes. Instagram, here we go. So, reminder, Instagram and Facebook, it's like this. Instagram getting inquiries from the U.S. State Attorney's app. U.S. State Attorneys on the app's effect on children. So, if you recall, a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about how Facebook happened to do a little bit of research trying to figure out how, the various applications affected the adolescent social development and stuff, which is a topic that I, in previous lifetimes, have done a lot of research on. Super interesting to me. And, maybe it had their own research happened to find that kids and social media apps don't really get along super well in terms of having any sort of positive interactions.
Crazy.
So, a bipartisan coalition of the U.S. State Attorney General said on Thursday that it had opened a probe into Facebook, now known as Meta Platforms, a name which they're trying to steal from another company. Another company's already called Meta. So maybe they're trying to throw in platforms as a familiar yet legally distinct variation for promoting its subsidiary Instagram to children despite potential harms. The attorneys general are investigating whether the company violated consumer protection laws and put young people at risk. They said in emailed statements, quote, Facebook, now Meta, has failed to protect young people on its platforms and instead choose to ignore, or in some cases double down on manipulations that pose a real threat to physical and mental health, exploiting children in the interest of profit, which was said by Massachusetts Attorney General Mara Healey, news release. This is a news story coming out of Yahoo Finance. But Facebook has already been in hot water for a myriad of things, which we've covered on like the past several weeks, so I won't get into it. But it's pretty much on like all fronts. It's the Instagram perspective, the Facebook perspective, what's the other one? Snapchat perspective, where they're kind of under fire from a lot of different vectors, and they are floundering and not necessarily performing particularly well to try and like get their public perception under wraps. The problem being, other people are already doing research into social media's effect on adolescent social development, and Facebook has been seen publicly halting these people's progress in doing this research. We reported on that quite some time ago, where a research team, I believe in Switzerland or Sweden, had their work halted because Facebook said that their application was breaking some terms of agreement, blah, 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 which it technically did. However, it was literally for science. So,
not to mention their own research reports that they've buried.
Yes.
The employees that have tried to come forward. Which is a perfect segue into report. Oh my gosh. Let's scroll in there. Pixelated for heck. All right, we'll zoom it out a little bit. Alex Heath has written a fantastic article over at The Verge. Definitely recommend folks go take a look at it. So I'm just going to talk about one issue that's come out of that. So the recent Facebook issue, like they've been in hot water for a couple months. specific things that happened last month, where the whistleblower went to Congress to talk about the privacy issues on top of Instagram. Just got to go down the laundry list. Facebook, now Meta, has not handled that well internally either. So much so they are the first comment, the first paragraph in Alex Heath's article is talking about a presentation that had been on the books for months, and because of the content of it, or what they were worried what content would be in it, they decided to just cancel the presentation so that more employees would not necessarily get the information from that presentation and potentially limit the amount of information that could potentially be leaked outside of the company. That is not good. That is not a great operating mode of operation for your company or for your business. So yeah, hearing something, and again, go read the rest of it because there's more examples. Other things that have been canceled, people being sidelined or obfuscated from being able to do their job correctly to like minimize what amount of information may be going out. It's like that is not a great sign. I don't know. I'm not saying it's necessarily going to like tank Facebook overnight, but if I were working there and I saw a shift like that happen, that would worry me.
Yeah, like as we just said, like they are under fire from a lot of different vectors all at the same time. So from a defensive standpoint, turtle shelling like sounds like a reasonable strat. However, you're not under fire because of like, oh man, you know, there's our competitors are just really performing well and they're putting us in a spot where we just have to work real hard. Like, no, you're under fire because you messing up. Like you making a whole bunch of mistakes over here. You're doing research and then just kind of like the research showed that what we're doing is bad. Well, let's just shove that over there and let's just keep doing it. Like, you know, you're under fire for good reason, and trying to stop people from revealing your other problems to put you under more fire. Understandable from maybe an executive board perspective or whatever that you would choose to do such a thing. Is it good? No. You just got to take your licks, like, and fix the problem as they come through.
Yeah. And
sometimes that means, as the executive board, that you get fired because you're the person in charge who allowed such things to propagate.
It's true. You can definitely. And I guess I'm not surprised that they're not willing to work on it, given we're about to talk about Activision here in a second. I talked about toxicity reports that are coming out from Apple. And no, I don't mean chemicals. It's funny we're talking about. You'd think we were talking about chemical companies like Dow or something. Like, yeah, we had to suppress those toxicity reports.
It's like, oh yeah, don't you know that the latest machines are radioactive? Oopsie doopsies.
What? So we'll get to our major topics. If you've followed this show for any amount of time, you know how I feel about Apple. So that is a bias. I admit that freely. I do try to justify it with like problems that they've had. So I want to start this conversation off with at least a pat on the back of like, this is a good thing. Apple is planning to release repair kits that would provide a variety of tools and or the necessary components to fix your Apple devices, particularly your Apple iPhone, like the iPhone 13, or the upcoming MacBook, series of MacBooks. But I do need to at least put in context, Apple, now again, this could be a sign of a cultural change happening inside the company, and if it is, that is great. So I do want to at least put that caveat before we even say anything. I know I just talked about bias, but if that is the shift that's happening here, and like let's say they're going to partner with iFixit, you break, you fix. Like if they're going to really like some other companies have and just really embrace the repair community in that way, and if that's what Apple is about to do, then I will be clapping this. So it remains to be seen, but I will be clapping this. So, and I will apologize if I jumped on them too hard here. And this is actually a sign of a cultural shift, which I hope that it is.
But the data says that it's probably not.
But the data, because everything that was happening before this was Apple fighting tooth and nail to end the right to repair bills that were happening across the U.S. and eventually talked about on at a federal level on Capitol Hill. So I remember that. I was watching all those videos popping up from other like state legislatures, like, and then seeing the fraudulent information they're putting out there about how independent repair shops work. And that is not to say that there aren't fraudulent independent repair shops, but generally, repair shops need your device to be repaired correctly so that they can get paid. So it's really not an incentive to screw your device up. And that's, again, there are shady ones. There are people that you shouldn't give your device to, but generally, you need to, as a repair person, you got to provide good service to keep getting people in. Like, so those are antithetical to each other for at least for longevity. So there's just a lot of fraudulent information being put out there by Apple and other tech companies in these open and closed meeting sessions and so on and so forth. But really glad that went well. Right to repair is effectively seems like it's going to be enshrined. So I really hope that's a really good news for everyone that wants to repair their own devices. So if Apple's turned a leaf and that's all they did, cool. Not that it's great. I know you spent millions trying to but if that's where our if me and my animosity if Apple starts to fade because of that, okay, cool. And with the phone, yeah. But one other thing that hasn't escaped my mind, and this is not so much aimed at phones, because phones, if we're being honest, if it's not a physical issue like a broken screen, or like need to replace a case, or like an easy ribbon type of replacement, like you can put a new ribbon cable or something like that, you are always going to need component level repair. What is component level repair? Actually soldering something on the motherboard, having to adjust something in that way, pull out an actual microscope to fix it. Just put broad strokes. There's more to that, but just
it's a serviceable oversimplification.
Yeah. So the irony is not lost on me that Apple's getting ready to push out repair kits for probably the least repairable laptops they have ever made. And I don't mean least repairable in the sense of because there have been some MacBooks that have been really great to repair, and there's been some in the recent definitely from 2013 to 2018. That's probably there's a 5-year gap where there's just MacBook Pros, MacBooks. If you broke it,
it's GG.
You might,
everything's connected to the motherboard, so its motherboard's messed up. Throw the whole thing out.
Now, granted, if you could do component level repair, you could fix it. But hence, this is why it's hilarious, because now you've got a board with the SSD soldered on, obviously the M1 chip. All these things would be now component level repairs. So unless Apple's going to throw some schematics out there for what you need to do. Now, actually, that would be pretty huge. If it's, hey, you have to do a lot of component level repair to fix this, but we will provide you the schematics to do it if that's what you want to do. I will shut up tomorrow, because that would be amazing. Repair folks across the nation would be like, schematics that we didn't have to try to put together ourselves.
Reverse engineer.
Are you kidding? Yeah, that
would be wild.
So if the kits are effectively, hey, here's some easy things you can replace, but here's the schematics if you need to do a solder, but we're not actually giving you solder material and things like that, but just more of here's some basic things you can do if you need to replace. Yeah. Then
that'd be wild.
That would be wild.
That's GG. That's
good game. We haven't seen that since Woz has been deeply involved in the company. That's kind of
right
repair. Yeah.
That's Apple II stuff.
Yeah. So I kind of talked myself back into being tentatively excited about this. Yeah, because I like good Apple. I like when Apple is good. When Apple does really cool stuff, I want to be able to root for that. And
I like being excited about tech companies and not being upset that they're just screwing people over.
Yeah. Cool. And a follow-up report to what we've been reporting on this one for a while.
Yes. Yeah.
Sorry. Let me pull up. I thought it was pretty good. Bobby Kotick, CEO for Activision Blizzard, may step down if he can't turn around the company. Now, if Bobby Kotick can't fix it, yeah, he probably can't. But he pledges that he will step down if he can't fix the toxic culture that developed at Activision under his stewardship. Now, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'm not saying that he can't do it. Because to be fair, like there's a lot of stuff that can happen in varying departments, and but you know, I mean, when you're at the head, when you're at the top, you get the biggest, like you're taking the biggest burden there, and you know, and again, I said different things happen in different departments. If it had been things happening at a lower level, it doesn't excuse that, but it might explain why the CEO necessarily wasn't getting information back up to them. Again, you got to be proactive and be trying to engage and start those conversations so that you don't get blindsided by things like this. But at least there might have been a separation there that would explain that. But some of the lawsuits that have come out have been at the executive level. Mm-hmm. So that's why. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say he's like, oh, if I can't fix the problem, then I'll step down. I'm like, my dude, you's half the problem. There's been like tons of I don't want to say like tons, but there's been a number of assault allegations about him or the board that like have just kind of been brushed aside, or where Activision did their own investigation for some board members or executives and said like, yo, you need to fire this person, and like he stepped in and been like, nah, you don't need to do that.
Yeah,
like there's a whole bunch of articles like about and accounts of different allegations and different reports and different executives and other stuff where he has been involved in the process and on one another, either being defended by other executives or defending other executives from these allegations and brushing them aside. So, you know, to say like, oh, if I can't fix the problem, then I'll leave. I'm like, my dude, you is the problem.
Yeah. At
least 50% of the time.
And like we reported last week, the board and the shareholders are in a fight right now. And so
a small percentage of the shareholders, though. It's like,
to be fair, it's not the entire shareholders, but the reason he probably feels empowered to say this is likely because of the executive board not doing anything.
And that there aren't enough shareholders to make it that are currently calling for his resignation. I think it's shareholders that have somewhere to the sum of like 4-point-something million shares out of, you know, like 300 million or something like that, or 400 million. So it's a certificate. It's not a not recognizable portion, but it's not a statistically significant portion.
Yeah. So, but as we've said each time, we'll continue to keep reporting on this because
This one's not on the main topic list, but I'm not sure if we mentioned it last time. But I think it was the CEO of Sony. Made a statement calling out Activision
Jim Ryan.
Yes, that he is disappointed in like all of the information that's been coming out of Activision and all of the allegations that they're dealing with and the workplace misconduct and all of that sorts of stuff, and basically taking a public stance against that kind of behavior. So that's one positive that like in the gaming community, that somebody and some company is willing to publicly say, yo, this is not okay and you are not okay.
Yeah. Because what we said last week after Jim Ryan said that was Xbox, Steam, and Sony could end this tomorrow and delist every Activision product until they got their act together. And then, you know, that small percentage of shareholders all of a sudden skyrockets to 100% of shareholders, and it's gone. And you got to start the changes. So,
yep,
hey,
100%. If they were like, "Yo, we're taking all of your games off of the store until you change your leadership and get your act together, get your Activision together."
You did not.
Yeah, I did.
All right. It is our final topic of the night, the one we teased in the title of the video.
Yep. That's how we get you in the door.
That's how we get you in the door. Did you get to watch Cowboy Bebop?
I have not yet seen the new Cowboy Bebop.
Gotcha. So we'll keep this very spoiler-free for folks that have not gotten to watch it. Just kind of just give impressions of it, especially also since Steve has not gotten to watch it. But actually, Lindy Fitness is online. We got to talk about it a little bit last night, and things that immediately stand out. Like, I love the character relationships. They are slightly different than how they are in anime, but to the show's credit, I am glad that they didn't try to just completely copy that. Like, Faye and Spike don't necessarily, like, they're still sniping at each other. Like, they're still because obviously we need that. That's a good catalyst in the show. But it's a little different. Faye's bite isn't as strong in this as it is in the anime, and I think that actually works out pretty great. John Cho, his way he's incredibly witty. Him and Mustafa Shakir, I could watch him and him as Jet Black. I could watch them riff off each other all the time. So I feel like that those things work really well.
Nice. But
and Lenny I'm gonna use the word Lenny Fitness said, it feels stiff. So it just feels like they don't quite live in this yet. Like, you can tell, like, and again, visually it looks really great. So, but it doesn't feel like they've lived in that visual, if it makes sense. Like, I love John Cho being in the suit, in the classic Spike suit, but in some ways it felt like they were trying to force certain things to fit moments, and it just didn't quite always gel together. There's some choreography that I think is amazing. I'm looking at them like, that's really good, especially the gunplay. Whenever they're shooting or running around, that looks really good.
Nice.
Some of them,
that's a major facet of it, so that's got to be good.
But some of the martial arts doesn't. It's not, and again, it's not even necessarily that the movements are bad. It just doesn't flow the way it seems slow. It seems like it just doesn't flow as well as it could, and I can't necessarily nail down. Is that an editing problem because it like chopped maybe some of this a little too much and didn't just like let us watch it. I also didn't know if it was possibly because of the music, because like if you go back and watch the anime, you have some stuff that, while it's not technically synced up to the music, it does feel like it
the energy of the music like fits the moment.
So when you have these kind of slower fight choreos happening, but the music is like dun 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 dun, and it's like I didn't quite. And I think the thing that immediately I thought in my head was Baby Driver by Edgar Wright, in that first scene where they're doing the bank heist, and the music and the getaway are well synced up together. So I'm not saying I was necessarily looking for that, but this feels so far away from that as an idea.
Does it? I was going to say, does it feel like it's when somebody takes like another song and plays it over something else and it doesn't fit?
Yes, that is. Yeah. There you go. Perfect. That's what it feels like.
But if you played Guile's theme over it, would it make it better?
Probably.
I'm interested. I mean, I'm gonna watch it anyway, but I will watch it from the perspective of fight choreography, and I'll let you know what I think.
Yeah. So, and there's some good. Again, I don't necessarily want to talk about the changes that happen, because there are some changes that happen. And as someone again that's watched this anime a bunch growing up, I was glad to at least like, hey, you're gonna take a stab and make this go a different direction. Cool. I'm like, cool. I get to see new stuff that I don't know everything that's about to happen, so that's fun. So that was much appreciated. Yeah. So I think the reviews, I don't know what it was scored on Rotten Tomatoes. I think it was around in the 50s. That might be a touch low. I maybe would, if it was like 6 out of 10. I think that's fair. It's like they hit some stuff really well. There's some that's just, some fans are just not gonna like it because it doesn't hit the exact. It's not exactly the same. Yeah. So I'm like, I think that's fair. Or sorry, yeah, I would just bump it up 1 point basically, or 10%, get it around the 60s, because I think that's That's fair. And maybe after they've had the time to do this one season and to give us a second season, that maybe they can actually really, because that feeling of being lived in, maybe they can really have it nailed by the time they go into season 2. So, again, character-wise, I think they got it. They feel like the spiritual pieces of these characters. Just you gotta, like Slendy Fitness said, they're stiff. They're stiff. You're not flowing. You're not flowing. Yeah, Taryn brings up a good point. We had the finale. We watched the anime, the original Cowboy Bebop. We got the finale episode of that to talk about on Quorum this Wednesday. Normally it'd be on a Thursday, but it'd be on this Wednesday, so definitely come join us for that. We'll also be talking about the first episode of the live-action Cowboy Bebop on this Wednesday as well. So, granted, if you go ahead and binge the entire thing, that's cool, but we'll be taking our time going each week to talk about different episodes of it. Cool.
Cool. What's going down on Nerd Union this week, Kenny?
Yeah, let's see. What do we already talked about Commander Ship. So every week, the mid-news show, the Rundown, hosted by Taryn Bell, gets all the news that we weren't able to, or stuff we just don't get during the week, because this is a once a week show here on Monday nights. So that's hosted by Taryn, and is usually dropped on Friday night, Saturday morning. On top of that, we already told you about the Quorum coming up. And additionally, Kyle Nelson, host of Red Shirt Rejects, he's covering Star Trek Discovery, so look for his review Friday morning as he covers. Actually, this should be coming out Thursday morning. I apologize. It should be coming out Thursday morning. But yeah, whenever you get to watch Star Trek Discovery Season 4, it started off with a bang, started off really well, and he'll have Episode 2 review out this week as well.
And we want to give a special thanks to our Patreon supporters. We appreciate your monthly contributions that help us run these cool live shows and our upcoming video series. Want to give a shout out to Doug Schumann and Shelby Johnson. Thanks.
Yeah. Let's see. Did you have a throwback?
Yes, I do. I will segue it back into our discussion earlier. So, recently, and by recently, I mean last week, there was a company, or a team, I guess now they're a company, that way back in 2005 made a Flash game called Last Stand that came out on Armor Games, if you remember that. So last week they released a new game set in the same universe called Last Stand something Aftermath. I don't know how I didn't guess that one. Last Stand Aftermath, set in the same universe. It's a lot of fun. I actually bothered to write a review for it. I recommend it. If a lot of fun didn't communicate that. But yeah, it's pretty fun. It's a zombie game. Where you go around, you collect resources, you level up, you buy, you get better stuff, and you try and get further and further and further and further. Regular, rogue-like or rogue-light formula. But I recommend going back and playing the old Flash game. If you can do that anymore, rip Flash. Never mind.
That's a good point. You made it.
Get dunked on. Yeah, never mind. So get a time machine that goes into memories and then go back in time into my head and play the game.
Gosh.
Oops, never mind.
All right.
How about you, Kenny? What about your throwback?
So last week we talked about I'll relate this last week as well. We talked about backwards compatibility on the Xbox. They released a bunch of new games that you could play on your Xbox Series X now, or the Xbox One family of consoles. And there's a shooter on there that I don't think gets enough love, and it is the Time Splitters franchise.
Time Splitters!
So Time Splitters 2 and Future Perfect are currently... Nice. I don't... Excuse me. Oh, sorry, folks. Still getting over that cold from last week. I don't know for sure. I can't remember if Time Splitters 1, I think it only came out on PS2. And then Time Splitters 2 and Future Perfect came on Xbox. But these two are available. You can play them on the Series X. I think Time Splitters 2 and Future Perfect are just fantastic shooters. You get to go through different time periods, just rendered pretty, like, you can basically get the gist of, like, okay, this is ancient Egypt that I'm shooting for. Cool. And it's a nice little time hopping adventure. So if you have not played it, go give it a try and give it a look. And I really liked playing on the Xbox because back in the day, even though PS2 was pumping out the most games, when it came to first-person shooters and at least the graphical look of them, I liked playing them on Xbox. I think a lot of them just looked a lot better. I remember playing like the 007 like Nightfires and
nice.
Everything or Nothing on PS2 and being like, man, I don't know if this, man, I don't. So not hating on PS2. There's a lot of fantastic PS2 games, but when it came to shooters, I really wanted them on Xbox. Blame Halo. Once I made that transition, I just was like, nope.
Never looked back.
Never looked back.
If I could recommend a game that is not a Flash game and basically not unplayable, probably Jak and Daxter 2. Great game.
You know what, though? We have not fit a Jak and Daxter reference in a while.
Yeah, it's been a little bit. That's because all these companies out here messing up. And it's like I can't work in a Jak and Daxter. Jak and Daxter is gold standard. There's nothing to be said about all the Apples and the Activisions. It's like there's no place for a Jak and Daxter reference there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man!
All right, folks.
Alrighty, folks. Thanks for watching with us here at Nerd Union.
Yeah. Remember to subscribe to our Twitch, Facebook, or YouTube channels for our live shows and our upcoming video series on movies, games, and more nerd content. With that, we will see you next week.
Yep. Peace.